Hi, I'm Amy Porter. Some of you know me as a flutist and a classical musician, others as a professor, and some of you know me as a publisher and arranger. I'm a stepmom, I'm a business owner, and I'm the founder of a couple of nonprofits, and this is my podcast. My core mission as an entrepreneur is to appreciate what I have around me, and then I try and see as clearly as possible how I can help. So let's talk, let's share information, let's laugh and sometimes cry over the things that we have to work through in life and in music, in business and family and relationships. Come on into my Porter Flute pod. Welcome to Porter Flute Pod, and congratulations to the University of Michigan Flute Studio Class of 2021. This is Season 2, Episode 19, and it's time to say Go Blue Flutes! Joining us in the podcast are our graduating students, seniors Dani Kim and Esther Kim, master's student Allie Dettmer, and specialist Jordan Smith. You are listening to snippets from every single flutist in the studio. Everyone is playing Syrinx by Debussy. Our producers today, Justine Sedke and Alan J. Tomasetti, and we're excited to enjoy some soundtracks from the individual recitals under the voices of the students speaking, so you can experience their extremely high level of playing. Welcome to Porter Flute Pod. We're so glad you're here. Every graduating class has heartstrings that tug on my heart as a professor at the University of Michigan School of Music, Theater, and Dance. It's happened every year for 22 years. It's about those students who I've helped realize their potential. Then there are those students whose plans I've drastically changed, and those I've held accountable. There are those who rose to new heights and those who realized they needed more time to ferment. This graduating class is no exception. That's my job. I teach music, nothing else. I tell my students, I'm not your mother and I'm not your best friend. My ferocity and passion for art is such a burning desire, and I hope students can just get that, at least 2% of it. 2% of what I'm giving. I hope they get the advice, and I hope that they get the advice that I give is for life. I show by example, and I'm a guide on the side. Just getting through the 3 semesters of the COVID separation was something so new, but these students adapted so well. Oh my gosh, the lesson videos that I asked for every week, my students spoke to me. Hi, Professor Porter, today I'm playing this and that, and I'm worried about or not worried about this or that. It's a wonderful moment to reflect and understand before being understood. Then going live in front of them for the first time in a studio class was electrifying for me. There was a lot of energy, and I got to see everyone's eyes and smile through their masks. And I could jump up and down and run around doing happy dances and get my point across with love and support. I can't wait to see everybody in the fall. The producers of Porter Flute Pod gave our graduating students some interview questions, and they had some wonderful and insightful answers. So here are the questions, and then you'll hear everyone's answer. Number 1, what were some of the highlights and struggles during your time? Number 2, what were some of your favorite pieces that you performed, solo or chamber music or large ensemble? Number 3, what were some of your most memorable moments? Number 4, What did you enjoy most about Professor Porter's studio? Well, thanks, guys. Number 5, do you have any special or funny studio memories? Number 6, what's next for you? And number 7, do you have any advice for the incoming students about the studio or the university at large? Well, we'll begin with our seniors. Here's Danielle Kim from Virginia. She was a transfer student and had a vision of accomplishing the rest of her degree in 4 semesters. Well then, I decided she was going to do the work and double it. And she rose to the occasion. She played several recitals to reach her exam goals, and all were done professionally and with elegance and precision. Dani is an incredible artist, and I gave her all the tools she needed to succeed during COVID, including the key to my studio, since I was teaching remotely. She was able to pull it all off with aplomb.
Hi, my name is Dani Kim. I just graduated this year with my Bachelor of Music degree, studying Flute Performance with Professor Porter. A highlight of my time here would be the Distraction game, which is a game that we got to play at Professor Porter's house before the COVID quarantine hit. It was a really great experience because it sort of mimicked a real-life audition and all the things that could possibly be distracting and go wrong, and really knowing how to push through those sorts of obstacles. It was also towards the beginning of my time here at UM, and so it was really just great to get to know the studio, get to know Professor Porter, and just really know how the studio culture was. Something I struggled with was being a transfer student, which is a bit of a different experience than most students, I would say. Professor Porter's studio was really supportive in making me feel like I had a community here. Even though you don't get to pick who's in your studio, I was grateful to know the people that I got to work with and get to know over my 2 years here. A piece I really enjoyed performing was Shulamit Ron's Birds of Paradise. I chose to program this piece on my senior recital because I was inspired by Dr. Sarah Frizoff's recording on her all-female composer album that I found on Spotify. It's just so enchanting and exciting, and I thought she had a really good description blurb as well to really help the audience picture all the different elements that she included in her piece. A really memorable moment that I had this year was seeing Professor Porter in person for the first time since March of 2020 when the pandemic hit. Professor Porter was gracious enough to allow in-person coachings leading up to degree recitals for select studio members. Granted, it was obviously in a socially distanced and very safe environment in a large hall, but just getting to see her again and experience how she teaches in person and her liveliness and energy, that really helps me, at least, to be inspired and really play my best for a lot of the pieces that I've been learning with her. So it was really great just seeing her again. The thing that I really enjoyed about being in Professor Porter's studio is that it's just the right size for me personally. I don't think it's a cliquey studio. I just think there are different personalities, but people kind of find their own crowd, find their own niche, find the few people that are interested in whatever they might be interested in. So there are people who want to go into the orchestral field. There are people who want to go into electronic music and so many other career options. And I just think there's sort of a place for everybody. And it may shift from year to year, obviously, as people graduate and new people come. But I think it's just a really nice, open environment where people can really find who they want to be. A really special studio moment for me was my senior recital. It was one of the few opportunities this year where I got to see all my studio members as well as Professor Porter in person, and just getting to perform for them and have a live audience, hear applause, and really be able to share music with people who appreciate it was really encouraging, because it's obviously been a pretty tough year for a lot of performing artists, and so it was just nice to be engaged again in a classical music setting and just have a little taste of how it used to be beforehand. In the fall, I will be attending the University of Maryland School of Music to study with Dr. Sarah Frizoff as a woodwind quintet fellow. I'm really looking forward to pursuing my master's degree with Dr. Frizoff, as well as getting to learn a lot more woodwind quintet repertoire, both standard and non-standard. My advice for the incoming students would be to keep an open mind and just know that a studio's job is to support one another, at least during your time at school. Whether you keep in contact with them after is totally up to you, but while you're a student, a lot of obstacles can get in the way, and it never hurts to ask for help. So just know that there are always people, whether it's faculty or your studio mates, that are willing and able to help you in the university environment. So just know that you're not alone, and just be kind. I think it's been a really tough year again for everyone, and just showing a little bit of kindness can go a really long way. And in the music world especially, you just never know when you'll see people again, because the music world is very small. So I don't think it ever hurts to show more kindness. In the music world especially, you just never know when you'll see people again, because the music world is very small. So I don't think it ever hurts to show more kindness.
Esther Kim is from Ann Arbor, Michigan, and she was the winner of the Southeast Michigan Flute Association Young Artist Competition when I was the past president. She auditioned for Michigan, and the rest is history. She took voice lessons here, and I believed she thrived both musically and academically. Esther Kim is one heck of a piccolo player. So listen to Esther's advice and take it seriously.
Hi, my name is Esther Kim, and I graduated with the Bachelor of Flute Performance under Professor Porter's studio. Some of my highlights were playing all these different pieces in my ensembles. Since I usually love playing ensembles, it kept things more exciting, and it made me more motivated to practice. My struggles were definitely trying to balance school life, music life, and social life. It was actually kind of harder before COVID, and because I didn't really keep a schedule around, I probably should have. Please keep a schedule around. It makes things way easier. It was much harder for me to keep on track, and it got very difficult because of course you want to have a social college life, but you also have these responsibilities that you don't want to do and you keep pushing off. So that was definitely hard for me. One of my favorite solo pieces was definitely the Fourier Sonata that I played for my senior recital, which is a very beautiful piece, and Maslanka's Symphony Number 8 in Symphony Band. It was such an adrenaline rush of a piece that it was one of the most fun pieces that I've played in an ensemble ever. My most memorable moments were hanging out with my wind quintet outside of rehearsals. We would fool around in the music school classrooms a lot and would hang out in each other's dorm rooms and play video games with each other, and we would eat out together. Since we were all in the same grade, it was really easy to relate with each other, and they were some of the closest friends I met in the school. The most I enjoyed about Professor Porter's studio was seeing everybody play their pieces in studio class, especially pieces that I've played before. It was really fun and interesting to see how people would interpret these pieces differently from me, and I also get to discover new music every class. Some of my favorite studio moments would be the little parties we had before COVID, especially the one flute piece guessing game we did at Cottage Inn, where we had the names of flute pieces taped on our backs, and then we would all have to guess what was on our backs. That was a really fun idea. My plan for right now is to take a year off from school so I can deal with my mental health and financial situation, because I felt really burnt out from the past couple years. So I just need to get away from school for a bit so I can become healthier and more prepared later on. My most important advice that I can give for all incoming students is to take breaks. I cannot emphasize this enough. I know that you'll have to practice a lot and you'll have a lot of schoolwork, but there is nothing wrong with taking a break from school or flute for your physical and mental health. Sometimes you need to recharge, and that is completely normal and valid. Please don't push yourself to the point where you'll become burnt out and end up disliking flute. It's really common in the music school. We honestly don't talk about mental health a lot, but it's super important. So know your limits and don't take more than what you can't handle.
Master's student Allie Dettmer was my student at the Brevard Music Center, and we developed a very nice musical friendship, so she came for a master's degree at Michigan. Allie's been the nicest person and such a support to the flute studio. It also was a sweet undertone that there was a previous studio friendship between Allie and Dani Kim from Carnegie Mellon University. It's also wonderful when everyone in the studio gets along, because I think it's kind of uncomfortable if they didn't, right?
Hi, Professor Porter. Thank you so much for having me back on your podcast. My name is Allie Dettmer, and I just graduated with my master's in flute performance. So first off, some highlights and struggles. I think the struggle portion of that is pretty obvious. I don't think anyone in my class anticipated that at least 2/3 of our time in grad school would be disrupted by, a world-changing event. So getting used to not being able to perform for a live audience, not even knowing if we would be able to perform, period, definitely led to a lot of struggles. But the highlights, I think, are a result of that. And the camaraderie and commitment from our whole class in being on our best behavior, committing to not putting ourselves in some of the more risky situations so that we could perform in the few opportunities we did, and making some really beautiful music together, even if it was just over a live stream or just for a recording. Some of my favorite pieces that I performed, I really hit the jackpot, I think, in my 2 years here, and I got to play some amazing principal parts. Right off the bat, in my second semester, I played the solo part for Daphnis and Chloe, which was unreal. Will forever be thankful for that opportunity. And then during this second year, I got to premiere a brand new version of the full ballet of Appalachian Spring, and we ended this last semester with he and Esther's concert variations. So those were definitely the most memorable moments for me, including my flute breaking down right before Daphnis, but don't worry, it got fixed in the nick of time. My favorite part of being in Professor Porter's studio is just the overall vibe of support. And this support isn't just, sunshine, rainbows all the time. It comes from the trust we've built with one another to accept and welcome critiques. They never feel malicious. It always feels like we have each other's best interests at heart, and whatever suggestions we give is always, how can we be even better? I'm very thankful for that. It's definitely helped me get even better over the past 2 years. And finally, the advice I have for incoming students, I guess 3 things is, 1, be brave. Don't be afraid to commit to playing in an ensemble. If you have a solo, really give it your all. Don't shy away from it. School is the best kind of trial and error place that we have. So, don't be scared to, take some risks in how you play. Number 2, take every opportunity you're able to while you're in school. Just put yourself out there, get your name out there. Try to be known for how you play, how you act, etc. And then kind of related to that, number 3 and most important is just be kind. Your reputation starts probably before you even step foot in the University of Michigan, and people will remember you for how you act and how you treat others, almost more so than how you play. So being kind is your greatest gift to yourself. I hope that's helpful. Thank you, Professor Porter, for everything in the past 2 years. Can't wait to see you again, hopefully sometime soon.
Specialist Jordan Smith was a master's student and returned as my teaching assistant, GSI, graduate student instructor, for the Flute Studio, and for my high school workshop, Impulse. And he took on the task of pulling apart our inherited library from the John Wummer collection. He took care of guiding the freshmen. He taught a flute methods class. Jordan did everything that a postmaster's student should do. Lead and set a great example. Play your best and mentor the young ones. Jordan is such a beautiful soul, and I have great respect for his playing, and I trust in his future.
Hi everyone, my name is Jordan Smith, and I'm a recent graduate from the University of Michigan with a specialist degree in music and flute performance. Some of my highlights were being able to perform for Robert Langevin during my master's degree in a master class. That was incredible. I got to play the second sonata by Gobert. And then another highlight was being able to see and hear the one and only Emmanuel Pahoud perform live. And we were able to meet him afterwards in a meet and greet. And we, as a studio, took a photo with him, and it was just incredible to be in the same room as him and witness his art. One of the struggles that I had during my time was time management and becoming a GSI. Becoming a GSI during the specialist came out of nowhere. It was a great thing. I'm very honored to have had it, and it's taught me so much. But at first I was really overwhelmed because there's a lot of responsibilities that come with it. You have to teach flute methods to music ed majors who have no idea what the flute is. You have to assist Professor Porter in anything that she needs, or you have to teach one studio class per semester, and it's very overwhelming at first, but it has been so good for me, and I'm very thankful to have been awarded the GSI for the flute studio. A favorite piece that I performed at Michigan, this was in symphony band. We performed That Secret from the River by Joel Puckett, and it was for wind ensemble, so it's one person per part, and it is based off of his flute concerto, The Shadow of Sirius, which I fell in love with right before coming to Michigan, and was written specifically for Professor Porter. So I thought that was a really cool full circle moment, and I'm very honored to have been able to play that, and the recording is up on YouTube if anyone wants to listen to it. I like that everyone in the studio has their own niche. When I was in the studio, there were people who specialized in contemporary flute, traverso, Latin American music, and performance style. Professor Porter creates an environment where we like to have fun, but expects a lot from us as students through performance and academic practice. So it's a really great environment. We're one big family, and when we're in person, we are in the Stearns building in the Katie room, and we're in a half circle arc, and we're there just to support the person performing and giving comments. It's a really great environment. It's very intimidating, but it's also very rewarding. I remember when Maria, or now Dr. Castillo, was performing in studio class. I don't remember if she was a specialist at the time or beginning of her doctorate, but Professor Porter had asked for comments, and I raised my hand and offered some comments, but I couldn't put everything into words, and I somehow used the word boring, and everyone started laughing. Maria started laughing. I started laughing out of embarrassment. And still to this day, Maria and I will joke about calling each other boring, or our recordings are boring, and it's really fun. What's next for me is I plan to take 1 to 2 years off of school to focus on my own teaching and playing before I start a doctorate program somewhere. I'll be freelancing around the state, as well as being hired as production manager for Porter Productions, which I'm very thankful for and looking forward to working with AJ and Justine and Professor Porter. My advice for incoming students are to be organized and learn time management skills. These will be the most helpful tools to have when you're coming to University of Michigan, because by the end of each semester there's recitals, and there's assignments that are due. You're going to be asked to play in all these different kinds of recitals and concerts and projects, and it can become very overwhelming with your schedule and time. So if you can be organized and organize your time very well, then you'll be very successful.
I'd like to thank all my students for changing me forever and making me a better teacher. I wish you all continued success. Join us on the next Porter Flute Pod as we feature our Friend Cast, that episode where I invite a friend to discuss our life in music. I'm honored to welcome from the University of Michigan School of Music, Theater, and Dance, Grammy Award winner Dr. Timothy McAllister, professor of saxophone. We'll discuss the concerti written for Tim, the John Adams Concerto for Sax, which won him the Grammy. We'll discuss our mentor, Donald Cinta, and his impact, the similarities and differences in the flute versus the sax, and we'll celebrate our students. We want you to know about the amazing sax studio. You can find more about me at amyporter.com or porterflute.com. On Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, I'm Porter Flute. Thanks for being here. I'm so grateful for you.